can't quite see. I was looking down there at something else. I don't think it is Hayden Fitzgerald, actually.
No, that's James Smith in second place, I think.
Yep.
James Smith in second, Hayden in third, and Scotty Moyer making a lunge into the hairpin.
Followed by Nick Cole on the Red Devil Racing's Kawasaki ZX10, so it is. Dennis Charlotte got an early... Nick Cole sits up there. Nick Cole had a problem there, sits up and lost a couple of places. He's back on the game there. He was out there in the last race, had a good ride there, pipped at the end of it for second place by the hard-charging Dennis Charlotte on the underground brown Suzuki GSX-R 1000. They go into Nana's, the carousel for the first lap of 20 laps for the 2014 New Zealand Grand Prix Superbike action here at Ruapuna. I've probably said that a couple of times, but Hayden Fitzgerald sitting up there and second. Change there, round the outside possibly for Scotty Moyer. No, it didn't quite happen. There's Tony Rees there in 2, 4, 6, 7th place. Looking out for Lyndon McGee, who's getting better and better as the more he goes out on this track. He's starting to gel with it. He's first time ever over into New Zealand for the Suzuki Series, and he's just getting to grips with the M1 Motorsport Valvoline-sponsored BMW S1000R owned by Moggy, Robert Ramshaw. They come round on the front straight. It is Dennis Charlotte driving out there. A bit of slippage at the back end. The Suzuki GSX-R 1000 having a full simply running out of gas last time. Someone with the hand up. Someone with the hand up. Pulling right off. That's all good and safe. Somebody pulling off there. We'll find out who that is in a minute. Somebody's. We've actually got Luke Burgess in here. He may actually know how to use a set of binoculars if we pass them across to him and find out and see who that is. That may have been Ray Clee, but the big thing is they are upright. Over onto the distance. They go down the pothole on the second lap of a 20-lap race. Dennis Charlotte, I'll tell you who's closing up there. That looks like James Smith. No, it's Hayden Fitzgerald closing up. Big gaggle coming around there for third, and it
looks like James Smith in third, and Nick Cole in fourth. Scotty Moyer in fifth.
Nick Cole has a big dive up underneath. Remember, the lap record was held here, is held here in the 129s by Andrew Stroud. He set it 2 years ago and had one of his rare crashes the very next lap. So unfortunately went down, but he holds the lap record in the 29s. We won't even tell you what the lap times because they're starting laps. But there comes Nick Cole coming through there. He's got passed through cleanly. He got through on James Smith and hunting down the front two guys. He made
Scotty Moyer having a look round the outside. Can't make that work through there. Scotty's been up out of the seat a couple of the times on this lap, and he's trying extremely hard. He's having a look up the inside. You can't make it work through there. There's just not enough room. How will he go for drive around the outside coming through onto the main straight? So here we go. Dennis Charlotte leading the pack. Hayden Fitzgerald in second. Nick Cole in third. James Smith fourth. That's Ryan Hampton. James Smith was one that shot off at the end of the front straight with an issue, so maybe that problem not sorted out. They were trying to get some track time somewhere along the day, but unfortunately the rules are there's no other people allowed on the track when it's all happening. Look at Nick Cole closing up in on Hayden Fitzgerald, and Hayden Fitzgerald closes up probably 10 or 12 white wings on the underground brown Suzuki, on the GSX-R 1000 of Dennis Charlotte. On the underground brown Suzuki GSX-R 1000. And here's Scotty Moyer taking a place ahead of Ryan Hampton. That was a brave move around the outside of the hairpin. I saw Ryan get on the gas nice and hard to try and shut that move down, but he got a bit of wheel stand and had to close the throttle a bit, which has given Scotty a bit of a break there. Now, we'll see whether Scotty can close down the front three now that he's got a bit of clear space between them. Fastest man on the track is the Red Devil Racing Electric Spider, driven, locomotion sponsored Kawasaki ZX10, and he's only man into the 131s at the moment. The rest of the boys are on 132s. In fact, there's two in the 132s, then we go up to the 134s. So action aplenty as they dive into the dipper, one of the most difficult corners around here. Nick Cole tries round the outside to go round the outside of second place number 9. Hayden Fitzgerald doesn't quite make it. He just gets a bit of a drive up there, but Hayden's been around plenty of laps here. Got a second in the New Zealand Grand Prix about 3 years ago. They come onto the front straight. Scotty Moyes starting to close them in on the bike that he crashed last time. That's all fixed. Suzuki, the Kawasaki pulls up beside the Suzuki of Hayden Fitzgerald, goes up on the inside along that front straight. I think Hayden's got the outside line here. No, Nick Cole shuts him down. Now he's going Charlotte hunting. Yeah, Nick Cole, a good move through there into turn one, and he will definitely put his head down now and try and reel in Dennis Charlotte. Watch for some real late braking coming from Nick Cole down into the hairpin to see if he can pull some gap back on Dennis.
2 New Zealand Superbike Championship wins over the seasons for Nick Cole. One for the man out in front, Dennis Charlotte, won at Hampton Downs last year, and Hayden Fitzgerald, this might be his maiden win. He's got the box seat there in 3rd position. He showed that he's got the pace. He qualified fastest. Scotty Moyer is closing in on that team. These guys are all dicing, so that pulls him in there. And then we go to Ryan Hampton. Had a bit of a bad weekend, had a crash yesterday, but that's Ryan Hampton. And I think we got Tony Rees in behind number 11, the 46-year-old from Wakatani. Been around for a long, long time. The last ever race winner with a teammate of the Castrol. Here we go, one of the trademark moves of Nick Cole coming out of that thing. Didn't quite do it, but he's closed up to a bike length. He wants this New Zealand GP. That won't be the most important thing for him. It'll be levelling the points. Dennis Charlotte's already had 2 wins in the New Zealand Superbike Championships, and at 25 points, if Nick Cole can get a win over him, that'll cancel him out there. And they're both, of course, all these boys are aiming for the New Zealand Superbike Championships and going on to the front straight. Missing Andrew Stroud. Andrew Stroud retired after injury last year. He looked at his career and thought, I'm out there. The good thing is they had a new baby a couple of months ago, 2 months premature. The new baby, I can't remember her name.
Oh, now you've
come to me in a minute. Mum and baby come home for the first time. She's had care over that. So Andrew Stroud, hope you're listening at home, and good to see the youngest one there. Can't quite remember. I know Harvey is the second youngest one, but anyway, back onto the track. Dennis Charlotte's opened up a bit of a lead. Nick Cole knows what he's got to do. He knows he's made a few changes between the races. I didn't quite catch up, but it is Pirelli out in the front. The second man there, Nick Cole's on Metzler tyres. Third man, Hayden Fitzgerald on Pirelli. Scotty Moore will be on Pirelli. Scotty Moore's a good dice out there too for 4th and 5th place. Tony Rees went on the inside of Ryan Hampton. Ryan Hampton made a bit of a mistake there, and that looks to me like the BMW. Is it the BMW? Yep. Sitting there on the tail. Sloane Frost, where's Sloane Frost out there?
Sloane Frost sitting back in...
Sloane Frost is in 9th place, dicing it with Linda McGee. So the sun shines on the bikes a different way, so it is hard for us to pick it up here at Ruapuna. So I apologise for that. Some of the crowd can see more. Nick Cole tries to drive up there again as they come through that fast right-hander. Gets a bit of a pace on there. There's half a bike length in it. It was about a bike length in it. There's nothing in it a lap ago. And Dennis Charlotte, the local Christchurch man, just started his own sheet metal business, or bought into one, and he's doing that. He's got nothing else on his mind except winning this race and winning the New Zealand Championships, but he comes out of that dipper on the title line. They get the drive onto the front straight. This is a sensational place to watch the racing from. You go down there, buy yourself a man coffee, a Heineken or something, and sit there and watch these guys come right out tight there. So it is Dennis Charlotte. Nick Cole's still the fastest on the track in the 32s at the moment. Hayden Fitzgerald, Scotty Moyer, Tony Rees has gone through on Ryan Hampton. Jaden Hassan's moving up the pack. Now, Jaden broke his ankle and I think his wrist at Hampton Downs in early December. So top ride for the man who's gone to the Superbike Series there. And that is Jaden Hassan in 7th. Linda McGee's moved through on Sloane Frost for 8th. And then Craig Shirris, Ray Cleef, Philip Lovett. Phil Lovett, the Australian, unfortunately had a handlebar issue in the warm-up lap last thing, so pulled out, which is good. He didn't find it in the middle of the race and hurt himself. Phil Lovett's out there. Tiao Mudu, David Hall as well. And I guess James Smith has pulled off there because he's only got 2 laps. That's a shame because the man was a race leader in the last thing and had a camshaft sensor coming out there. The local Christchurch man of 77. Still not much in it as they come round the Nana's carousel. It is Dennis Charlotte. Nick Cole takes the wide line. He's trying to get the drive out of this. Is where he likes to pass. There's about 8 bike lengths here, so he won't quite get the drive, but any drive is useful coming out there. Don't discount Hayden Fitzgerald on the Ross Graham Motors GSXR 1000, riding 2 classes here. Scotty Moyer seems to hunting them down as well. And we go down there, Tony Rees from Wakatani doing the bizzo as well.
And behind Tony we've got Ryan Hampton, and behind Ryan it is Jaden Hassan, then Linda McGee, Sloane Frost, Craig Sheriffs, Ray Clee, Phil Lovett, David Hall and Aaron Scott. So there's Dennis Charlotte going across the line, and he's got himself just a small buffer, maybe a couple of bike lengths, and he'll be quite comfortable with that. He'll just be holding station. He'll be watching his pit board closely to see what's happening behind him. He'll be checking out the other riders' pit boards as well as he's coming along down the main straight, and just having a look at the time gaps between himself and them.
6 laps down in a 20-lap race. We've got 14 laps to go, I can add. Dennis Charlotte leading out there. He's also set his fastest lap on the 6th lap. Nick Cole in 2nd place is the fastest man on the track. Set his fastest lap in the 2nd. There goes Hayden Fitzgerald wide.
Hayden Fitzgerald pulling off the track. He's got a problem. So that brings Scotty Moyer up into 3rd place. That'll be a fantastic finish for Scott. I feel quite bad for Hayden. He was riding extremely well, and he
He's
Yeah,
upright. He
unlucky.
just sat right up there, and he's upright. So
that's a mechanical problem for Hayden, and perhaps it's a return or a repeat of the fuel blockage that he suffered in the first race.
well, they definitely did find him, so it was fuel running out, and they will check your tank and have a look, and there was no motion lotion in there, so maybe that caused an issue. Sometimes if you use all the fuel and thing, there might be a little bit of shit in there that gets through there, and that could be that, but it's that's what happens. That's motorcycle racing. Look into the dipper there. Nick Cole's right up there on the tail of Dennis Charlotte there. He's not giving up. He's the fastest man on the track. Scotty Moyer knows that he's in third space. He won't be worried. We go back to fourth, number 11. Fifth is Jaden Hassan, I think, is coming through. Jaden Hassan, what a flyer there. He must have got past Ryan Hampton there, and we're looking out for Phil Lovett there. Also looking out for Sloane Frost. Looking out for Sloane Frost. I think Sloane Frost has changed his leathers colours.
Yes, Sloane put on a different set of leathers.
He confused me.
His first set was quite damp this morning, and he decided, be more comfortable to race in a dry, clean set of leathers.
Oh, that's all a bit of a worry for me, because I look out there and see the orange leathers and get a bit disappointed that he's not out there. So that's it. He normally rides bright leathers, but he's on the Fujitsu Suzuki GSX-R 1000 change of leathers colour, so that's important. Over onto the hairpin. Nick Cole closes right up on Dennis Charlotte. Dennis Charlotte's has done a million laps round here, Ruapuna being a local man. I know, I'll tell you what, Nick Cole's done a lot of laps as well. He's not giving up. He's just tapping there. And Scotty Moyer, lonely ride. We're looking out for that dice there for 4th, 5th and 6th, and it's still Tony Ree's got a break on, I think, Jaden Hassan, Ryan Hampton, not necessarily in that order. Lyndon McGee will be amongst that lot as well, and
Sloane Frost there as well.
Yeah, Sloane Frost, of course, yeah, and we go a bit further down to Ray Clee, having a bit of a lonely ride. The bright orange leathers off in the distance is Phil Lovett. His daughter, Sophie Lovett, was racing at the Cemetery Circuit. Where is she this weekend? She's running a triathlon in Australia. Australian citizen, moved to Australia, moved to New Zealand, and she's gone over there for a triathlon. I hope she's got her Walkman on, listening to C-Test. Listen to how the old man's doing, because he's doing all right round here. Nice guy from Lovett Earth Moving in Australia. Onto the front straight here. Nick Cole takes a tight line. That was a bit of a tail slide, I think, from Dennis Charlotte.
I think
what's going on there?
To make a big run up the inside into turn 1, because that has cost Dennis some speed. It's certainly allowed Nick to close right up on the back of him. Now, I think that wasn't really any concern for Dennis. Just getting on the ground nice and hard. We're still early enough in the race that he'll be able to control that sort of slide and have plenty of side grip available to him. But sometimes the guys like to slide it out of the last turn onto the straight, just to help them through that turn, give them a bit of a more square line onto the main straight.
What's the chances of overheating the tyre in that situation, just getting too much wheel spin and overheating the tyre?
Yeah, it can happen, but as long as the rider's maintaining his throttle position and not actually spinning it really hard, you can just get that tyre sliding nice and gently to help turn the back end of the bike, to help you turn around the bigger, faster sweepers.
Looking off into the distance is this rain cloud somewhere along the line. I'm not too sure whether they're coming over in this direction. I don't think the wind's going to pull it over there, but that won't affect this race definitely, and I don't think it's going to affect anything later in the day. We're looking down on the infield, and Nick Cole gets a bit more drive. Maybe he gains a bike length on Dennis Charlotte. Dennis Charlotte on the NI Adjaf Oil sponsored Suzuki GSX-R 1000, and running Pirelli tyres. Nick Cole running the Metzlers. I don't know whether this will be a factor at the end of the 20 laps. We're not even halfway through, 8 laps out of 12. Scotty Moyer's sitting there quite happily. They didn't take too much time to fix their bike. He had been about lap 11 or something like that in the last race at the end of the front straight. Didn't hurt himself. A man that did superbikes for the Wolfpack Racing team a couple of years ago on the Honda CBR 1000, and then got back into this Formula 3 racing, got the opportunity to race the superbike again for the last couple of rounds at Hampton Downs and Taupo last year, and they've prepped the bike up, and he also had a good look at his own health situation and worked out he's got to feed himself a little bit better and do the exercise, and it's all part of the whole package, and so he's coming up firing, and indeed was the fastest man in the first practice at the Cemetery Circuit this year, and we accredited him with a lap record, so he's the fastest man yesterday in the Formula 1 race. It was not a lap record, the data we had was in error. Out to the front there, it is still Dennis Charlotte, 4 to 5 bike lengths in it. Who's the strongest through here, Ian Templeton?
I think Dennis is really strong through the Nana's Carousel and through the right-hander, but I think Mick has a real advantage into the double left and into the dipper. So I think Dennis will run a nice tight line where Nick will come around the outside. Nick will turn in a wee bit later, look for a bit more square line, but he just can't pull that gap in. I think Dennis is doing a really good job of controlling the pace of this race from the front. He's just keeping an eye on where Nick is and what Nick's doing and trying to control the race. I think Nick's trying to look for a way where he can pull up some distance, but Dennis is just keeping a close eye on the pit board, a close eye on his lap timer, and he knows what he needs to do to take this home.
Hello, not so wide, coming onto the front straight there for Dennis Charlotte. Took the wide line and was sliding there coming onto it, I think, in the last lap, but tightened up and squared it up and got on the drive. Scotty Moyer comes down on the bike number 87. Scotty Moyer having a good ride, always good rider. I'll tell you what, when it rains here, Scotty Moyer might be the man to watch. Be the man to watch, and he's certainly good. Getting faster throughout the races, both Tony Rees, Lyndon McGee and Sloane Frost. All those three guys have just put in their fastest lap. Dennis Charlotte put his fastest lap on lap 6 of 10. Nick Cole early on lap 2. Scotty Moyer in 3, and these other boys obviously picking up the ante there because they know that there's a bit of a dice. We sent it over the back there. We sent it over the back, and that is who was that closed up? That's Lyndon McGee closing right up.
McGee and Sloane Frost as well, having a big lunge in as well.
That was Sloane doing the big dive. Sloane riding with a broken wrist. He's trying to get that Lyndon McGee. They diced all race long last time, right on the back of Tony Rees. We go back a little bit behind them, and we find Jaden Hassan, Ryan Hamptons, and it's Craig Sheriff's there mixing it all up.
It is. I think Sloane's figured out that Lyndon's going to try and break through, and he just has on Tony Rees, and now Sloane really needs to put his head down, because if Lyndon can pull out a bit of a gap, it's going to be extremely hard for Sloane to come back at him now.
Don't discount Tony Rees. The man's been around for a lot of years, racing superbikes for a number of brands, a lot of Suzukis. He won the Castrol 6 Hour on a Yamaha with, I think, Dave Hicks, and then raced Suzukis for a number of years, and Yamahas went to Pyro and set pole position last year on a 2002 year bike. And this year he went there, and despite Sloane Frost doing all the winnings in the day, Tony Rees got the fastest lap in every race. So there we go. First and second, disappearing off the end of the front straight. It is still Dennis Charlotte. There's probably 30 metres there. Cole's a quick span on the track, and that was early on, but not much in it between. Dennis Charlotte is fractionally faster. We see Scotty Moyer going off there. Look at this next to this pack. The rest of the pack is Lyndon McGee, Tony Rees, Sloane Frost, Jaden Hassan, Craig Sheriff, Ryan Hampton, Phil Lovett, Ray Cleve, Phil Lovett. We're looking out for Aaron Scott and David Hall. Unfortunate early retirement for Hayden Fitzgerald on the RGM Suzuki GSX-R 1000, expired on the hairpin.
And Sloane Frost making a move through on Tony Rees, and he's pulled that nice clean move into the hairpin. It's a nice tidy place to pass. Once you're on the inside there, the outside rider just has no option other than to let you through.
All right, here we go. Nick Cole's closed up on the Red Devil Racing Cycle Talk sponsored machine. Closed up on Dennis Charlotte. This is where he goes hard. He makes a couple of bike lengths, but there was actually about 40-50 metres gap over on the back. He's all right there, half a bike length in it. He's napping at his heels. 9 laps to go. 20-lap race. We're just over halfway through it. I know these boys will be getting tired, but they'll all be getting tired at roughly the same rate.
And here goes Sloane Frost through. Is he through on Lyndon McGee? Yes, he is. That was a fantastic move into the first of the double lefts.
Wow, action aplenty. We've seen some grand races over here in the New Zealand Superbike Championship. Some of them weather affected, some not weather affected. This one certainly has no problems apart from a strong wind, but it is a relatively constant wind. I don't know, I'd say it may be 30-40 kilometres an hour out there at some stage. The lead bikes go off the end of the front straight. Still Nick Cole, the quickest there. He's 0.1 of a second quick, and that's all you need at the moment in that. Although, as I just say, Charlotte seems to be very strong coming out of turn 1. And breaks open a bit of a gap of about 40 metres. They go into Nanas, it compresses down, they open up there. They're both equally as strong under brakes here. All it needs is one slight error, but these both relatively professional riders. Nick Cole went over to the States and won 2 World Championships in the classic racing as late as, I think, in about November. No, October. He went over there in October and did that. So just equally as home on the superbikes and the classic bikes. The other thing too is it's a family affair with the Cole Red Devil Racing team. Mum, Dad, they've got a Kawasaki bus in the pits. The old man does all the motor work himself. Dennis, he's got some other people to do it. Don't take anything away from him, but from a family affair point of view, you've got the old man who makes a living, Graham Cole, out of restoring and preparing race engines for classic bikes, but he can also do the goods on something like this Kawasaki ZX-10s. That's the skill of the man and the family, and I know the Nick's wife, Rachel, and daughters Kyla and Chloe will be watching with eager on CTAS Live timing at home. Let's look out for this battle. It is still Sloane Frost there in 4th place, sorry. Sloane Frost is ahead of Lyndon Lyndon McGee on the BMW S1000R. Tony Rees has dropped off the pace a little. Another battle there. Jaden Hassan, wow, that's right. Craig Sheriffs is in the mix. Ryan Hampton comes out of the dipper there. Bit of a tail slide there. Ray Cleese right on there. You could, there's about 40 metres between these four bikes, so 7 laps to go. 7 laps to go for the Superbike race. The Motorcycling Country Superbike race, the third race of the weekend, the New Zealand Grand Prix. Everyone wants the points, but that New Zealand Grand Prix title is a nice one to have. I know Nick Cole won at Wanganui and got the Robert Holden Memorial, proved he's got a black belt in Wanganui, got the other 2 Formula 1 races. He wants this race, but it's important to get points. But right now, it is Dennis Charlotte all the way. Dennis Charlotte's open the gap, and maybe that's 100 metres. I can't count very well, but maybe that's 100 metres. Look over on the back of Pothole, the dice between Sloane Frost and Lyndon McGee. Now, there's a little bit of rivalry in there because Sloane Frost was riding that same BMW M1 last year and he moved away and got on to the Suzuki, so there's a little bit of team rivalry there. That's all in good humour, and I know the team manager and owner Moggy of the M1 Motorsport machine has always got a smile on his face, whether they're first or last, and he's good. He's enjoying watching Lyndon McGee getting faster and faster on these New Zealand tracks. Over to the dipper, it's still Dennis Charlotte. He's got about 40 metres over in Nick Cole. We'll look at the lap times as they come through. We're looking out at a lonely but happy Scotty Moyer in third. Got a new clutch last night from Red Fenton that was some of the Superbike spares for Robbie Bugden, and happy working with that. He says it's a bit of a slippery clutch, which means it's a little bit better, so he's a happy third place at the moment. And we're going out there up the dipper. It is still Sloane Frost riding with a fractured wrist. He was there between races with a bandage and ice on there. Those of you that want to find out how he fractured his wrist, go onto YouTube and type it into YouTube and have a look at the massive crash he had on the 26th of December. He went in underneath the bales, the airbags, and it was about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes before any movement they got him out there. It was grateful to the Wanganui circuit to not have it. They've moved along from hay bales. If he'd gone into the hay bales, it would have flicked his bike and himself back out onto the track. So those airbags saved his ass. Didn't quite save his wrist, but all in all, Lyndon McGee getting the drive out of the pothole. Corley comes up on the inside on Sloane Frost over there. Tony Rees has got the hot seat view there, as indeed all the people sitting in the grandstand there. So Lyndon McGee fighting back. The Australian, he's got his own concrete business. His uncle was a Grand Prix rider in the form of Kevin McGee. And I put on the commentators list, I put, who's your family? Just what uncle there. Says, haven't you got a mum and dad? He says, yes, I have. So he put their names down as well. So looking out there, Sloane Frost is, not Sloane Frost, Dennis Charlotte. Fastest man. That last lap was 1:31.934, and Nick Cole has slowed back to a 1:33.308. That could prove disaster. It's still second place. And I know he wants it, but the man will ride with his head. They'll all ride with their head at the moment, and he'll just, maybe he's got machine problems, tyre wear issues. We've still got 6 laps, nearly a third of the race left over as he pops the front wheel up, coming down the front straight. It seems to be Dennis Charlotte who's got this sewn up, but...
Well, Dennis is a really fit guy. He puts a lot of effort into his physical training and his mental preparation. So even though it's a 20-lap race and it's quite hot out there and quite windy, he won't be feeling the stress of that yet. So the fitness does play a role in this sport, and you know, I can see Dennis now, he's 3.5, nearly 4 seconds gap ahead of Nick, who's probably a good, I'd say 10 seconds. Would it be 10 seconds? It would be 10 seconds ahead of Scott Moyer in third place. The real battle is for 4th, 5th and 6th, which is between Sloane Frost, Lyndon McGee and Tony Rees. As they come down into the hairpin, it's Lyndon McGee ahead of Sloane Frost, who's leading off Tony Rees, and Sloane's having a look round the outside, but it's a long way round there when the rider on the inside's got the better line.
Hello, Jaden Hassan has dropped off the pace here. It's now Craig Sheriffs. Craig Sheriffs has moved up. Craig had a shit of a day yesterday and a shit of a day this morning, but he seems to have getting a bit of redemption. They don't know what the hell is wrong with the whole game. It's a complete package, you know. It could be rider, it could be tyres, it could be suspension. He's just not gelling right with the bike this weekend. A man that's had 23 wins at the Cemetery Circuit, and took his first New Zealand Superbike Championship win out at Manfield about 3 years ago. Had another couple of wins last year. Who can ever forget the dive up on Robbie Bugden in the last lap on the last corner at Timaru through the bus stop, or third to last corner through the chicane there to take a win at Timaru. So he's got the goods, he's got everything there, but just not gelling it. There goes Dennis Charlotte there. Dennis Charlotte put in a 1:32.714. Nick Cole's coming back with a 1:32.979, so he hasn't dropped off the pace. The last lap before, he dropped right off the pace by over a second of that. He can't do much in the next 4 laps. There is quite a big difference between there. 2.84 seconds, 2.814 seconds is quite a big gap there. All he can hope for is that Dennis makes a mistake, and Dennis is not known for making mistakes. So in terms of comeback, he's still in a good solid second place. I am wearing a Red Devil shirt, racing shirt, so I'm not biased though. And third place, Scotty Moyer goes into the hairpin. That dice for 4th place, Linda McGee versus Sloane Frost versus Tony Rees there. Linda McGee's on Pirelli's, Sloane's on Pirelli's. What is Tony Rees running? Any idea what Tony Rees is running?
Pirelli as well for Tony Rees.
Looking through the list of sponsors, Timaru Medal Cyclist, John Hepburn from Timaru, been around forever in motorcycle racing and car racing and truck racing, and he still puts his money into this man there, lifelong friends, and he's actually his pit boy this weekend. So that's Johnny Hepburn. He'll be enjoying what's going on out there. It's all about the racing, and Tony has put in some sensational rides so far this weekend. Enjoying it. It's good to see him back in the New Zealand Superbike Championship. Sometimes he's done the North Island. This time he's chosen to do the South Island. Just 2 rounds down south. Next weekend at Level, he's not going to Teretonga for the Superbike Championships. So that's how it sits. Dennis Charlotte. Wow, it's 2.9 second lead over and above Nick Cole. We're looking out for Scotty Moyer. That dice coming round the big sweeper. That's the dice of the race at the moment. It is Linda McGee followed by Sloane Frost. I've now got it sorted. I know what colour leathers he's wearing. And Tony Rees in the hot seat. Suzuki's got the drive down the front straight. He's going around the outside, trying to go around the outside of Linda McGee. He knows exactly what this bike of Lyndon's ride. It's his riding. It's his last bike from last season. One and a half bike lengths in it between the two of them coming out of that off turn 1. But Tony Rees has pulled back into that pack as well. I thought he may drop off there, but Tony Rees, certainly there's nothing in it between these 3. I'm not going to predict that one. I'm going to predict maybe Dennis Charlotte for the win, but we'll see.
And looking at Sloane Frost coming, he just closes up really close there on Lyndon, but Lyndon manages to hold the better line on the exit, and Tony Rees just sitting in the box seat really. Either of these guys make the slightest mistake and he will pounce. There's no doubt about that.
So good dice going over there by number 56, Yada sponsored GSXR 1000, and that's 56. He's been running the number for a long, long time. Craig Shirst from Fielding, the Fielding Drainler. He is changing his job to be a salesman for a motorcycle accessory company shortly, but he's dicing out there with Ray Clee. Now, Ray Clee's the man that builds these motors, and Ray won't build a better one for himself or anything like that. Ray Clee come down from Auckland for the racing. They're having a good old ding-dong. The ding-dong still goes on at the dipper there. There's still Linda McGee, Sloane Frost, and the Honda mounted Tony Rees there. We look out the gap between first and second, 3.6 seconds. Still the faster man on the track. 1:33.1 for Dennis Charlotte, 1:33.7 for Nick Cole. Scotty Moyer's up the lap times a bit. He's doing a 1:33. Linda McGee, Sloane Frost, Tony Rees, Lyndon. There's nothing in it. There's 40 thousandths of a second between McGee and Frost. So you can see different brands of bikes, same tyres, BMW versus Suzuki. Look at that battle coming out of turn 1. I said I'm not going to predict it. Don't discount Tony Rees. He's been watching this. He's an old fox, mate. He'll be sitting here and he'll possibly have worked out where he can get them on the last lap. We've got 2 laps to go. Expect the white flag to come out shortly. There's Phil Lovett, Earth Moving Kawasaki, letter K, letter P sort of thing for Aussies, for the Aussie. That's what we do with internationals at New Zealand Road Racing, is they can run the the letter. It sort of sticks them out in the crowd a bit more. You'll see the letter M on the M1 Motorsport BMW. You can see that there going into Nanas. He's got a bit of a break on Sloane Frost, but Sloane Frost is, he'll have them worked out.
Sloane will try really hard around the outside of Nanas. With Sloane's broken wrist, he's struggling a little bit under brakes today, so he's really trying to make all his effort on the exit of the corners rather than on the run into them.
Big ups to Robbie Bugden to coming over to New Zealand for the last few years and showing how an Australian can do it, and upping the ante and showing us boys round the track. And he didn't have it all his own way. Andrew Stroud and him shared New Zealand Superbike Championships wins for the last few years. He come and stole a few of our trophies, stole one of our women, Miriam White, went over to Australia with him. I hope they were listening there, and he's done very, very well in New Zealand in the Australian Superbike Championships this year, with a couple of pole positions amongst other things. He got a win too, didn't he? We we'd like you to be here, but right out on the track, Dennis Charlotte goes in on the last lap. The white flag is out going into the hairpin over there. Dennis Charlotte dives in there. They may come across Dave Hall from Te Awamutu on bike number 28 as a lapper. That shouldn't present a problem. I'm sure that Dennis knows that he's got a buffer, 4.681 seconds on the last lap. I know he's got that. The main thing is concentration. He won't worry about it.
Here's Nick Cole having a lunge round the outside into the hairpin.
Sorry, that's not Nick Cole, that's Sloane Frost.
Oh, sorry, Sloane Frost.
Nick's still in second, yeah. Sorry. Okay, what happened there?
And it looks like the M1 Motorsport BMW has managed to maintain his place, and Sloane's going to have another lunge.
All right, into the dipper for the last time. Dennis Charlotte on the underground brown, Silverhorn sponsored machine, Falco boots, Kiwi suspension service, Olin suspension, Dynaworks off oil, Silver, yep, just already said that one. Oh, there's two things, Silverhorn Sportsville, Silverhorn Energy Plus. The Christchurch grandfather had another baby this week, or this year, his wife did. Emma, she's about 3 or 4 months old. Congratulations, the New Zealand Grand Prix. Running the number 3, Nick Cole comes through, big wheelie, that'll be a good photo opportunity. He'll be disappointed not to get the win, but it's still a solid placing at the moment. We're looking out for Scotty Moyer, a podium in the New Zealand Grand Prix, but the race is on there, it's coming out of the sweeper. It's still Lyndon McGee, the Valvoline-sponsored machine. I know Jossie, one of the team managers for this, he's getting through there, Sloane Frost. Good on you, mate, you're a hard bastard. And Tony Reeves, number 11. There goes Ray Clee, he's got the brake on. Something that happened there, he's got the brake on Craig Schiffs. That's for 7th and 8th. We're looking out for Ryan Hampton, who was a hard charger early on in the place. He's the local man, number 19. And Jaden Hassan, again, riding with some sort of injury for a while back. And Phil Lovett. Now, this is the man that went at the cemetery circuit after the Robert Holden Memorial. You're supposed to go down the pits. He says, I like the place so much, I had to do another lap. So he did another lap to have a look around the place. He said, I just did another lap. But
what a top bloke.
Oh, he's a top man. And his daughter will be back, I think, next weekend to show us how it's all done. The first ever woman in the New Zealand Superbike Championship Superbike racing. So Superbike action brought to you by Motorcycling Canterbury. Thank you very much, Ian Templeton, for coming up. He's got inside knowledge there and been a mechanic on Superbikes for a lot of time. And Luke Burgess is sitting there, didn't get a word in edgeways.
No, thanks,
he's asleep. Luke Burgess is asleep.
I'd just like all the crowd to put